EV Safe Charge introduced Ziggy, the mobile robot for charging electric vehicles. The robot can be called via smartphone applications or onboard information in the infotainment system. It will come and serve any parking spot, simultaneously displaying information or advertisements. Ziggy is designed for parking in shopping and entertainment centers, hotels, and other commercial facilities. The robot requires no additional infrastructure and can move from one electric car to another until it charges all the cars in the parking lot. Ziggy itself will return to its base to recharge from the electric grid, battery, solar power, or any combination thereof. The interesting thing here is that the robots will be available for rent, otherwise the company itself will be on the conscience. DJI will develop a Level 4 autopilot for ground transport. To do this, the company has created a team of about 1,000 developers, with the works being carried out since 2019, and they must demonstrate on the electric car Kiwi EV, manufactured by SAIC GM Wuling Automobile. It's reported that tests have already been carried out on these test roads, and the car mileage in autopilot exceeded 1 million kilometers. As a result, DJI is going to develop not only algorithms, but also the necessary sensors and components. In addition, the subsidiary of DJI, Livox Technology, developer of LiDAR for drones, is also developing and testing LiDAR for ground-based robotic vehicles. Hyundai Motor Corp launched the first RoboTaxi service in South Korea, namely in Seoul. RoboRide offers short rides in the Ioniq 5 electric vehicles with machine learning algorithms. Currently, the service is being tested, so it's available only in one part of the city and only by Hyundai employees. But the company plans to remove all restrictions and give general access to the service in the nearest future. Hyundai is known to develop Level 4 offline driving technology based on advanced driver assistance systems. The Ioniq 5 is equipped with cameras, LiDARs, and radars, as well as softwares for algorithms integration and remote monitoring. Initially, the driver will be in the cab, but once the company receives a number of additional permits, the robot car will drive by itself. In general, everything is the same as when testing other robotic vehicles in China, the US, and Russia. Engineers at MIT introduced an artificial intelligence chip that would allow smartphones and laptops to be upgraded instead of buying new models. I wonder how this will work with Apple and Samsung as well as other big players. A new device capable of making any gadget versatile, similar to bricks like Lego. It would be impossible to connect the newest sensors and processors. Reconfigurable software will help to quickly upgrade gadgets and reduce electronic waste. In the chip design, alternate layers of sensitive and processing elements, as well as light-emitting diodes, allowing the layers of the chip to transmit light. Light transmits information over the chip, allowing it to reconfigure, for example, to switch places or to overlay layers, so you can add new sensors or updated processor. Peter Parker is a very clever guy, but he is also sometimes unlucky. The same thing happened to the robot that portrayed Spider-Man in The Disney Guy. During the 100,000th performance of this stunt, the robot lost its limbs and crashed into a building. The robot has been working in the park since 2021 and is able to make its own decisions when you need to bend, tumble, and slow down, floating in the air at an altitude of 25 meters in real time. Disney has its own robotic division where it develops robots for its parks, and it's fair to say they're quite impressive. Chinese scientists were able to identify the source of water on the moon, discovered by the Chang'e 5 landing module in January. No, the Chinese rover did not find a river or a lake, but it did find about 30 hydroxyl parts per million in rocks and soil on the surface of the moon. This proves that the rocks collected by the device were once in contact with water in the study area. Now the researchers have all possible versions of the origin of hydroxyl parts, except one: the presence of the inner lunar origin, which played an important role in the formation of crystallization of the late lunar basalt magma. Lunar water is expected to support the future resources of lunar missions. The American technology company Onyx Industries has developed an advanced tail module for the Visual 60 robot from Ghost Robotics. It allows robots already in the US Army to swim in the water for more than half an hour. The Nautical Autonomous Unmanned Tail Unit, or NAUT, uses water jets to help the robot navigate in the water, allowing the robot to swim through small ponds that may come in its path. It's reported that mounted equipment can move a Vision 60 at speeds of 3 knots or 5.5 kilometers per hour and keep it afloat for up to 35 minutes. The new ability will not only allow the robot to observe water bodies, but can also help the military explore waterways that it can be mined with. Remember, Vision 60 is positioned by the company as a cheap, modular, all-weather ground system of medium size, capability, and able to carry up to 10 kilograms of payload and moving for 3 hours in a row at speeds of 3 meters per second on only a single charge. By the way, this is not the first robot that's not afraid of water, although the first self-floating. For example, Unitree's B1 robot has also been tested with the Navy SEALs at least part of this video. The robot can be fully submerged underwater, operate autonomously for 4 to 5 hours, carry loads of up to 40 kilograms, and withstand a weight of up to 100 kilograms, although only standing in one place. It's the largest robot of a Chinese company 67 centimeters tall and over a meter long. And the robots of another Chinese company, Deep Robotics, do not know how to swim and dive, so they expanded their capabilities on the ground, learning to interact with a swarm of robots and drones. The company signed a strategic agreement with the Huzhou Institute of Zhejiang University to collaborate in further research aimed at finding various opportunities in the field of drones and quadrupeds. By the way, Robotic Systems Lab ETH Zurich has announced its robot animal to explore the nature of Italy. Scientists have clarified that this is not a vacation, but a serious project of the European Union, in which they will try to monitor selected plant species and habitats in general with the help of a robot. SpaceX has been approved to launch Starship from the Boca Chica space launch site. The United States Federal Aviation Administration required Elon Musk to make only 75 changes to the test process of the Starship, after which SpaceX would be able to start the launches. The adjustments should reduce environmental damage and inconvenience to people living nearby. The amendments include, for example, changing the lighting of the complex, hiring a biologist to monitor environmental damage, early warning of tests, and restrictions on the closure of public roads leading to the site. According to Musk's latest announcement, Starship will be ready for the first orbital flight in July, and the second will be in August. The first flight plan submitted by SpaceX to the Federal Communications Commission includes the separation of the first stage from the carrier at suborbital altitude, and its landing will be near the launch site. Starship itself will continue to fly until it reaches 200 kilometers. Milrem Robotics released a test video of its robot, which is said to be equipped with artificial intelligence. The Type X combat vehicle is designed to assist troops in breaking through enemy defensive positions. Its navigation and obstacle detection systems are based on smart algorithms, which should make the tank smarter than people, above all, the opponents. In terms of weaponry, there are some options. For example, the robot can be equipped with a massive cannon, anti-tank missiles, and even tethered drones for remote reconnaissance. It's worth noting that despite the ongoing debate over the ethical use of artificial intelligence in combat vehicles, the company has already managed to attract funding from the European Commission for the development of a tracked robot called Themis, and it will be used to transport military supplies and neutralize improvised explosive devices. Festo, which has long been engaged in serious research into the application of the most amazing abilities of animals and insects in robotics within the Bionic Learning Network, has released a new and amazing video. In it, they showed a gentle manipulator repeating the amazing moves and functions of the elephant's trunk. Its filigree design was made possible by miniaturization of various elements of the manipulators. The E-Road consists of 2 segments, 140 millimeters long with a conical diameter. In its center, there is a design of the material printed on a 3D print and ultra-elastic rods for stabilization. Around this center, resembling a vertebral column, there are thin wires made of a special metal material, the so-called alloy with a memory shape. It serves as a kind of artificial muscle, allowing engineers to individually and controllably bend the robot trunk in any spatial direction by means of heating design elements. Thanks to its low intrinsic weight of only 12 grams, the trunk can be easily moved using actuators made of shape memory alloys. Compared to other actuators, the Bionic E-Trunk has the highest force-to-weight ratio. In Italy, the first fully developed humanoid robot was introduced. Oversonic Ro-B is 1 meter 75 centimeters tall and 70 kilograms in weight and is already in the market. It is stated that it can operate autonomously, working in industrial warehouses, sanitizing premises, and in control operations. But in addition, with the help of artificial intelligence and voice interface, Ro-B can recognize people and communicate with them independently. Also, the robot with 40 movable joints and a full set of sensors is perfectly oriented in the surrounding area and can safely move in a crowd of people. It's equipped with hand grips that allow it to pick up items from 3 centimeters in diameter and carry weights of up to 50 kilograms with a trolley. The robot stores all the memories in its database, can mirror the user's actions for learning new, and can also be programmed with the help of a built-in panel. How do you like Roby? Let us know in the comments. But the world's most dexterous humanoid robotics robot, while still separate from robots, are being created by Shadow Robot, which you can see in a recent video. While all of that might have been a mouthful, the unique and unparalleled, according to the developers, technology provides telepresence from anywhere in the world and allowing it to perform complex and very accurate movements with fine motors. Also, robotic arm with 24 joints and 20 active degrees of freedom provide enough tactile feedback so that you know exactly what you are doing and how. Scientists at Stanford University have created a tiny wireless amphibious robot that can move around inside the human body to deliver drugs. A robot based on the origami principle of sealing can crawl on the organs or swim in various environments of the body. The robot, like most of these devices, can be controlled with a magnetic field. Only in this case, the field not only guides the robot but also controls its configuration, which changes allow the robot to move and perform useful tasks. This design allows the robot to be truly shredded. Now the device is undergoing preliminary testing. They will then move on to animal testing and then human clinical trials. Researchers at Stanford University came up with Agility Robotics Digit, a new, more capable hand. If, with its original limbs, the robot can only take boxes and basically just use them to maintain balance, it has now learned to interact with various deformable objects. With these new designs, the hands can take into account surface irregularities at a macro-scale form, mesoscale wavelength, and micro-scale roughness. This provides good shear grip on surfaces with a small amount of grip. All that thanks to the use of hybrid electrostatic and adhesive strips at the end of the hands. And as a result, Digit can take different items with the least possible force, and it can even carry a bouquet of flowers and give you a gift. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and don't miss any new episodes from the world of robotics and high tech. The Automatica 2022 Robotics Expo was held in the US, and here you could see what the world will be like in 2050. Food processing robots, basketball robots, robots in warehouses and cafes. The DLR Institute of Robotics and Mechatronics brought its humanoid robot Justin and Sarah robotic arm on a mobile platform to the show. But it was the new anthropomorphic robot David, which is expected to approach human capabilities in dynamics, dexterity, and endurance that attracted the most attention. The robot's about the height of an average adult, weighing only 26 kilograms and has 41 degrees of freedom and variable stiffness in all joints. It's driven by 76 brushless DC motors and has 165 position sensors. DLR's latest interesting development is a robotic chair for people with severe movement impairments, in which a robotic arm is integrated. It uses muscle signals to read from the surface of the skin and control the robotic limb, which is supposed to give its owners sufficient freedom and independence together with the chair. The robot is also endowed with its own knowledge of the world in order to anticipate human desires. And of course, the robot arm is completely safe for the owner and can manipulate all the same objects as the human hand. Also on display was the Garmy robot, designed as an assistant to the elderly. The robot should help in everyday life, for example with household chores. The robot will also come in handy for rehabilitation exercises and remote communication with doctors. The developers plan to equip Garmy with measuring devices such as ECG and ultrasound. Combined with the use of IoT sensors, the doctor has access to information through the robot that can help him act quickly in emergencies. Stoger Automation showcased its Spats robot at the show, which has several screwing and gripping tools built in. It's a complete assembly solution, even for miniature items such as collector car models. Also on display was a robotic inspection of an electric BMW i4. The Doosan cobots played drums, poured drinks, and even made hot noodles and immediately poured them into portions. And of course, there was also a robot cafe, this time presented by KUKA and its light and sensitive arms LBR IIWA. The team of ExoIQ brought to the exhibition a new exoskeleton, the S700, in which you can see the desired power or just turn it off when you don't need it. And all this at the touch of a button without having to remove the design. The young German company Neurobotics showed its various applications of its cognitive robots. The company itself develops manipulators and creates software for them with elements of artificial intelligence. Touchless safe human detection technology and built-in sensors allow the bots to see, hear, understand, and even, as the developers say, sense humans and even think for themselves. Cobots can work in warehouses or auto repair shops, but the company sees them primarily as a versatile home helper. The robots can move even the smallest and most fragile objects. Kenon Robotics brought its service robots to the exhibition. The company's more than 30,000 robots are already working in more than 600 cities around the world, but are just about to conquer Europe. Equipped with a fully autonomous positioning and navigation system, as well as highly sensitive sensoring and obstacle avoidance technology, Kenon robots adapt to a variety of challenges in real-world scenarios. The robots are designed for restaurants and hotels. The bots know how to ride elevators and can deliver anything directly to your room at any time of day or night. Also on display were countless industrial robots that seem to have learned how to do just about anything. Find and manipulate objects of any weight or shape, perform all manufacturing tasks, work in medical labs, or just about anywhere. I like to think that in this high-tech future, there's still going to be a place for real humans. In other news, the European Space Agency has unveiled its four-wheeled, two-armed Interact ESA robot. The bot is part of a group of robots for a lunar mission, and it's modified specifically to work on the steep slopes of a volcano. The robot will need to interface with another planetary vehicle, a drone, and a fixed landing module that will provide the robots with Wi-Fi and power for autonomous work. The animal robot finally got its robotic arm and learned how to use it to turn wheels, pull a lever, push doors, pull a rope, and lift loads, as well as performing various other tasks. The robot moves by remote control, but once it reaches its destination, it performs the task entirely autonomously. The perception is made with the help of Vicon's motion capture system and the robot's joint state readings. Toyohashi University of Technology introduced gossip robots that can communicate with each other about current events and the weather in a way that humans can listen to in the background. Added emotions, exclamations, and interjections will help keep attention, so congratulations to the robotic grannies at the driveway. Would you like one of these in your home? Let us know down below. Engineers at Northwestern University in the United States have unveiled robots for jointly manipulating heavy objects with humans. The three bots are omnidirectional carts with delta manipulators mounted on them. What makes the invention special is that the robots provide safety for humans and loads, as well as highly accurate control of the end effector force, regardless of the potentially inaccurate movements of the mobile base. The bottom line is you can easily carry, flip, and compose heavy objects with each other completely safely and without the need for physical effort. The WVU Interactive Robotics Lab showed how a swarm of loopy robots with 1 degree of freedom achieves a given shape from an arbitrary starting position. The trick is that each robot makes its own local decision about where to move based on interactions with the two neighbors. NASA and Redwire have revealed the capabilities of the partnership OSAM-2 small space probe, which will service, manufacture, and assemble spacecraft directly in low Earth orbit. For starters, the refrigerator-sized robot will have to build, assemble, and deploy a solar array, part of whose structure it will print itself on with a 3D printer. OSAM-2 is not expected to be launched until 2024 at the earliest. MIT engineers have figured out how to keep track of their miniature robots and teach them how to communicate with each other without weighing them down with additional sensors. To do this, they made the robots glow like fireflies. The half-gram drones were given a top layer of electroluminescent particles that emit light of a certain color under the influence of an electric field. Now, it's possible to track their movement through an ordinary smartphone camera. The surprising discovery was made by scientists who examined the data collection by NASA's OSIRIS-REx spacecraft, which took soil samples from the asteroid Bennu in October 2020. It turns out that if the craft hadn't fired its engines as soon as it grabbed the rocks and dust from the asteroid's surface, it would have just plunged into it. It turns out that the particles that make up Bennu's surface are so loose and so loosely bound together that if a person stepped on Bennu, he would feel something like diving into a pool of plastic balls that are so popular in today's playgrounds. Watch how deftly the fully autonomous robotic package system handles Peppa Pig. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and don't miss any new episodes World of Robotics and High Tech.